Hi everyone, welcome back to another speed build video in our channel. So if you're here, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel right away, even before you watch the video. You don't care, okay? You're gonna like this content so much that you should subscribe right now. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Today we are building the Arcos da Lapa, which is a very iconic landmark of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, my hometown, and a place that I have had very much fun with while I was living in Rio and while I was living in the neighborhood where this landmark is situated in Lapa specifically. It's the bohemian neighborhood of Rio, so that's where you find a lot of artists and so on. And it's also like where everybody who enjoys the nightlife of the city goes quite often, because it's the sort of place where you can find all sorts of different parties and you know, nightclubs, bars for every tribe. Everyone has a place in Lapa. You know, it's very democratic in that sense that everybody can find the type of music that you want to enjoy, the type of people that you want to meet. Everybody kind of converges to the same spot in the city, which is Lapa. And right in the middle of Lapa, we have this aqueduct back from the colonial times, you know, that back in the time was used to, you know, transfer water from one spot to another. And nowadays it's not working as an aqueduct anymore, of course, but the monument, so to speak, right? So the architectural building is still there, and it's a landmark of Rio and specifically of Lapa as well. And nowadays there is a tram that goes on the aqueduct, you know, connecting two different parts of the neighborhood, you know, so you can actually ride on the tram over the Arcos da Lapa, which is what I'm building here. And so, just so you don't think I'm crazy and just put a giant tram on top of that is actually there. So if you Google Arcos da Lapa, you'll see that the tram goes over it. You know, it's in all the pictures and everything, and it's even like more or less the same colors as the one we have in The Sims as well. So that worked pretty well because they both have this yellowish color. And apart from that, Lapa is also really cool because a lot of the historical buildings in Rio are situated there, in the sense that you can find these buildings with like really old buildings with an old school vibe. And this is the kind of building that I'm trying to go for here, which is what we call the sobrado, which is more or less a Brazilian townhouse. I guess you would call it a townhouse possibly. And this is what I'm building here. So they are very boxy, very square buildings, except for the ones that are in a curve like the ones I'm building here. And they have these tall windows that they're pretty much very similar to the ones we have in the game, so that also worked really fine. They are usually 2 or 3 stories high, and so I just went for 2 stories here because there wasn't really a need to put much more stuff in there. And I think with 2 build, maybe having another one would give it more of a Lapa vibe, because they are really everywhere in that area of the city. So the palm trees definitely had to be there, and I think it already brings everything together. Like if you are from Rio, or if you've been there, or you've been to Lapa at some point, I think anywhere would instantly recognize it with these three elements, right? So the aqueduct, of course, there is the most iconic one, but then the palm trees and then the sobrados. So it's very much a nice resemblance to the real thing. And this lot in particular is a nightclub, and what I did here was to split the bar in one of the buildings and the dance floor on another, you know, so it feels like it's two different businesses. Yeah, businesses. Two different businesses in the same lot, although it's all working as a single nightclub. And when I play tested it, the Sims kind of tended to gather around the dance floor, so that's where most of them will go to, which is actually the other building, the yellow one, and the blue one is the bar. And but yeah, everything, I tested it and everything works fine. It should function as a nightclub with no problem, but of course you can change it to maybe a bar only, or if you're feeling creative and if you want to change a lot of things, you could actually make a restaurant there on one building and the bar on another. So there's really endless possibilities here, because with Lapa you find all sorts of things there. There are restaurants, there are bars, there are nightclubs and so on. But if you're going to grab a bite at Lapa, the most traditional way, I guess the most carioca, which is the people who are from Rio, the most carioca way of doing it would be to get food in one of the many food stalls that pop up there during the nighttime, especially on weekends. Mostly on weekends you can see the whole place just covered with them, you know. So if you like street food, or if you just want to give it a try, you can definitely find a lot of options there. So that's why I put all these food stalls there, you know, because that's also very characteristic of Lapa during the night, specifically the weekend nights. And you can also find lots of drinks there. So if you want to go for a gigantic caipirinha or something like that, you definitely find it in one of those stalls in Lapa. Alternatively, if you want to just grab a bite, you can also find it there. Mostly it's burgers, or perhaps hot dogs, but it's all sorts of things like pastel as well, which is which is a deep fried thing that we do a lot. We like a lot. That you can find it there as well. You can also find pizza maybe, and Chinese food. So really there's a lot of options, and even barbecue, which is I think my personal favorite. What we call a cat barbecue because it's always a mystery meat that you're not really sure what it is. But I'm just kidding, okay? It's not actually cat, as far as I know it. At least we don't eat cat yet. Things are not very good there right now, so we might have to rely on that eventually, but we didn't get to that point yet, thankfully. But as I was saying, well, you can find all sorts of food in these food stalls in Lapa. And let's see, now I'm just furnishing the nightclub of one of the sobrados, one of the townhouses. And of course a lot of these places are actually old townhouses, really large townhouses built by super rich people in the, I'm gonna say, 1900s, maybe end of the 1800s. So they were houses like home, meaning that those places were not built to be businesses, and much less nightclubs, which were not even a thing back then when most of these townhouses were built. So they were just converted later, and usually they keep the outside as it was, you know, because it's a historical thing, so you can't really change the outside, but you can do whatever on the inside of these buildings. But they are essentially houses, so there's not much space for a dance floor or a huge bar. So usually these spaces in Lapa are quite small, you know, not really spacious, and I wanted to go for that same vibe here in the build, you know, as something that used to be a house and that was converted to a bar or a nightclub, and so on. So that's why you see that it's quite small, but I also like to build small because it is less work and less chances of messing it up, and less things to furnish it with. But anyway, so this that's the reason why the bar and the nightclub are so small in this particular build. And now we're actually getting to the end of the video. Most of the things are there already, like I said. The club and the bar are fully furnished, so I'm just doing some stuff to the walls to make it more, give it a bit more dark, a bit more nightclubby on that side, and putting some decorations on the bar as well, some plants to make it more cozy, more enjoyable for the Sims or for whoever's playing and like just likes to see something well furnished, which is not my forte, I have to admit. And I usually go for uncluttered, you know, because, well, I don't have the best laptop, and when I play it, if there's just too many items there, it starts to slow down my computer and the game really starts to do some weird stuff. So I go for this, what I call uncluttered vibe, you know. So I put some plants, some rugs there, but not too much. It didn't go crazy with any of it, so it should work for you even if you don't have the best computer ever, like it's my case. And this is the last finishing touches now. So I put some and also putting like a sink and things that are necessary for a bar and nightclub, otherwise your lot won't work. So I'm just playing around with some painting, some more plants, and some lighting to just make it everything more appealing, especially the bar. I think it looked really cute and cozy, and it worked really well with the items from the paranormal stuff pack. You know, they really give it a nice, I guess they went for 70s, even though that was not what I was going for here, but it gives the objects work really well with almost any build, like either modern or more classic. I really like the objects that came with that pack, and yeah, I used it a lot here, and a few of the things from Nifty Knitting as well, which is the pack that came before, because they have lots of these hanging plants that I really like to use, that they make the whole thing more just nicer, you know, like, just who doesn't love plants? They make everything more cozy and comfortable. Even though I cannot keep even a bean sprout alive, I do like my virtual plants. And of course there is a bathroom there, because I ran out of space to put one in the bar or the club, so there's just a bathroom on the outside, which is not really too far removed from the situation in Lapa. So yeah, and here's like just a quick tour of the finished building. And now and for the lot crates, I made it a party place, because Lapa is the spot for a night out in Rio. So if you ever go there, make sure to check that out if you're, you know, interested in that. And I also made it, gave it a crate for the stray dogs to show up there, because that's really what you see in Lapa, stray dogs everywhere. And so I had to put that in there as well when I put it as a teen neighborhood, you know, so to have teenagers hang out there. Although I guess it's, in reality, it's more young adults and so on, because the teenagers just can't get in anywhere because they're underage. So but if you're like a uni student, or if you're any age really, and you just like a nice night out, you'll probably end up in Lapa sooner or later if you are in Rio or living there. So that's pretty much it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment, and I'll see you all next week. Bye!